Tom will like this. Oh, we're going to go to DEQ next. Yeah.
If we talk about the veterans and everything, now they want Michigan's trying to get further taxes on pensions and retirement benefits. Is that going to affect the benefits at all? Because I know that's a large.
On the pension tax, the governor has assured me, and we looked at the program, the taxing, there will be no tax related to VA pensions or payments or military retirement. Yeah, we had that conversation very early in the program. And we had that about a month or so ago during coffee, and he assured me, he said, that's not part of it. So, and I'll get into the pension thing too. So now here's the one that Tom's been waiting for. We'll talk about the DEQ. What fun. Now Dan Wyatt, I'm not sure what they're saying internally, but I think he's doing a pretty good job in the, oh, got a question in the back already.
I'm a little confused, I'm sure a lot of us are. There's been the DEQ and the
DNR.
Now, what was the status, the relationship of the two?
They've already been separated by executive order, which the governor can do. They don't need to go before the House and the Senate to move those two apart. It's the same thing that Granholm did, what, a year ago, 2 years ago? When she put them both together. Governor Snyder, that was one of the first acts that he did in January, I believe, signed the executive order to pull them back apart. Now there's a director over here of the DNR, and Dan Wyatt's now the director of the DEQ.
In a very few words, what will that accomplish by separating the two?
Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. Dan Wyatt has to get in there, and he's going to talk to some of these guys a little more in detail, because there's a few guys in specifically that I'm going to set him up to talk to as we have a little sidebar on it. But there was a major call for the DEQ just to be eliminated. And, boy, I was on board with that one, and I still am to some extent. But here's what we've looked at, and I made this presentation while I was running for office. The EPA, one of the most evil organizations in the federal government, and probably in the United States, one of the most powerful evil organizations, the Evil Protection Agency, that's one of the big cuts. That's one of the reasons they can't get the budget cut through right now, even though we just did. They announced that we did have a 1-week extension. Well, the EPA is looking to come down on, it's going to affect the state of Michigan drastically December of 2012 and December of 2013 with the new stormwater runoff requirements. And here's what we're looking at. A year ago, I went to Lansing taking a letter as a county commissioner to support the MAEAP program, which is the environmental certification program for farms. And to get farms on board, start doing good environmental practices, and then you'll see that nice sign out front. It's a white sign of the farms. It's got the little Michigan logo on it, I believe. This is MAEAP program farm. Well, there's certain things those farms have to do to maintain that level of environmental quality, and they are evaluated on it. What we also looked at is the level of DEQ that we want to have in place in order to say when the EPA comes knocking on our door, they're already doing things in Ohio and Indiana that they're not doing in Michigan, is that we say, you know what, hold it right there, guys. You save your money. Save your money for another 2 years till we get a new president in, and we eliminate the EPA. We have DEQ in place, and we have an MAEAP program for the farms, an environmental program for the farms. We're already addressing this. So we've got the MAEAP program over here for ag, which was a huge concern, and we've got DEQ at a minimum over here working with some new ideas and thoughts and new management with industry. So that's kind of our hold off right now. It's not much of it's kind of like sandbags down in Mississippi, but it's something, and it seems to be holding off the EPA to some extent. Now, fortunately, a couple of weeks ago, maybe it should have been on TV. I also sat on the DNR, DEQ, and Tourism Committee and the Judicial Committee. And I think on the tourism side, I'm probably one of 2 of the 3 most vocal members of the DNR, DEQ, and Tourism Committee. And we recently had the burn ban come up, where they were going to they had this great idea to stop all burning in the state of Michigan. If we had that thing enacted, we wouldn't even see Tom again for the next 15 years. Because he would be out pulling diapers out of trash cans and giving $200 to $500 tickets. Is that the DEQ came before our committee, and boy, I don't think I've been so smoking hot in Lansing as I was mad that day when they sat there, and you'll see me get worked up when I talk about this. Is they presented that they wanted to do this burn barrel ban. And my friend Representative Ken Kurtz had a piece of legislation that would stop them from doing that. And he came up to me before the meeting and he was telling me, look at what's going on. He says, I know people in your area burn. Do you want to have, do you want to have this ban? I said, no, we need this. I said, I burn once in a while. No, I don't burn all of our trash, but we have a little fire going once in a while. Well, anyways, the testimony started, and the two gentlemen from the DEQ get up here, and we started hearing this remarkable testimony. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It opened my mind to how the DEQ operated. And it started out, could you imagine a burn barrel with one diaper in it? The toxic chemicals from that burning diaper, and I'm thinking, listen, I got a 4-year-old, diapers don't burn, pal. By the time it makes it to the trash burn, it won't burn. Trust me. That's the worst thing you can put in a burn barrel. Okay, well imagine a dry, unused diaper. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. This is a comedy bit. And I said, oh, no, hold it. Are you trying to tell me all these chemicals are coming off of that diaper, and then you would go out there with your investigators or conservation officers with a stick and go through the burn barrel with the smoke, probably a respirator and full level A gear, whatever it is, and pull out the diaper and write a ticket? He said, oh, no. He said, you're not really getting the point of that. Okay, now imagine 1,000 burn barrels with 1,000 diapers. And I thought, you have got to be pulling my leg. And that's what it was. I mean, that was the great expert testimony. Imagine 1,000 burn. Now, then someone that had respiratory problems. Now, God bless her. But she says, you have no idea when somebody would be doing that if they were burning 1,000 burn barrels with my respiratory problems. I said, what are you doing putting your head over the burn barrel? Get out of the area. I mean, this was the expert testimony on legislation they wanted for the entire state of Michigan to stop burning. Now, at that point, I came unglued. And I should have looked for the lights, and I should have looked to our chairman and said, is the TV on? Are we on MGTV? No? Okay, you're going to have it. Well, I got loose, and I don't remember how, I think we talked for a while. I can't remember how many minutes, or maybe it was an hour. But I let him know what I thought of that. And it wasn't good. I said, you've got to be kidding. Absolutely not. We're not going to stand for this. And then Harold Howe from on the Democratic side, he's the vice chair of the committee. And we just started to get to know each other, some of the Republicans and the Dems. Now he's sitting by the chairman and he looked over and he said, did you just hear what the representative said over here? And I'm like, oh God, now I'm going to get hammered from the Democrats. And he said, he's exactly right. If it looks like an unfunded mandate, if it stinks like an unfunded mandate, and he went on, because I was saying, it's an unfunded mandate. You don't understand it. So after we talked about unfunded mandates, and the guy said, well, representatives, you don't understand. To enforce this won't cost the state of Michigan a thing. We'll create this rule. It won't be a law. We'll create this rule, and you know what's really neat about it is that the townships and the county can enforce it. I said, do you understand what it's like to deal with the township? All it takes one pain in the butt in your township. And they're going to call on everything. Now we have to get diaper patrol out there at 6 in the morning. And I said, that's an unfunded mandate. You don't understand it. And Mr. Representative Hausman, it's an unfunded mandate. You guys just don't get it. And their response to us was, well, you know what? If you guys don't like it in the House and the Senate doesn't like it, we'll just take it to the governor for signature. And they got up and left. And I said, that's a challenge. You take it to the governor for signature. So they took it to the governor for signature. And the governor looked at it and he set it on the desk. He said, you guys just take it back to your office. I'm not signing that. Yeah. So the governor stood with us on that and said, you know what? You never brought that through your director. You never brought it through me. You told the House and the Senate you were going to do this. We don't operate like that anymore, guys. It's a new ballgame. Maybe Granholm might have signed something like that, but I won't. And that's what we're dealing with. Well, what an attitude. And so there's getting some real attitude adjustments from the top level and the new directors and the governor and the House and the Senate when we're telling them, guess what, you work for us. And get ready for a new piece of legislation that's going to say, when we create a new law, when this bill is through from the House and the Senate with the governor's signature and it goes to the department, and this is something Mike Green and I both said we will support and put together and we're working on it, is that when you as a department decide to put your policy together, your fines and your fees, the only way you can enforce this is if it comes back to the House and Senate committee that created it, and they approve it. Because we've got these departments for too many years have run rampant. And they think they can do that, but it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, I just want to underscore that those people are running loose and free. And I think those kind of things should be debated on the legislature floor and see if they're worthwhile, because they impact the community and impact all of the country. And I personally would like to see the DEQ gone, but if we get rid of the DEQ, then we have to live under EPA. And I think that's wrong too, because under Article 10 of the Constitution, separation of church and state, separation of powers for the state, there should not be, the EPA should not be dictating stuff to the state.
Right.
And somehow we got to put up a firewall for that.
Now that we've gone through the burn barrel thing, which, and boy, I got so many nice letters on that. That was nice to see. It's amazing how many, that affected so many people. It really did. And I told the guy, I said, well, you know what? Do you have any idea how this will affect farmers? Oh, farmers, they can't burn. I said, well, then don't come to the thumb. Yeah. You know, you stay right there in Lansing. We're going to make sure one of the first things we remove is your mileage. You know, so you stay right here in Lansing. You know, we're having enough trouble trying to work with Roundup Ready beans, seed corn and stuff, and you want to come in and regulate this. We burn those bags in the field, pal, so nobody gets all covered with Roundup and everything else. We burn up pallets and the stuff right there in the field, but I wasn't going to tell them that because I didn't want them driving up here. Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Why can't we stop all these damn garbage trucks coming from Canada?
Well, that's how we got our Wolverine.
You ran home?
Yeah. You know what? As long as what's that? Yeah, I think quite a bit of it has stopped. Quite a bit of it has stopped, but there's still a lot coming over. You got to question just how affordable that is. Maybe on the plus side of that is the fact that we're going with these new bio-digesters and plasma digesters that create electricity off of burning. You're not going to see landfills in another 5 years. Right now we're working on a new plasma digester for the thumb area. We were working on one that would have handled the side of the state here about a year ago, but now they're handling one that will handle all the trash from here on. Tuscola County, I think, is just right behind them. So what you do is you'll take all of your trash, it goes into a big kind of a trash burner, and it's got really a zero emission discharge. It's a very clean operation because it burns at such a high heat. And these plasma generators are pretty remarkable. So they may look at that as a free fuel source. So we may be begging them to bring it over, but I don't know. I haven't. That's one area we haven't.
They don't follow the rules. They're not supposed to bring any medical waste over.
Well, medical waste, and they're probably there.
And every time when the truck tips over and the tailgate opens up, there's liquid, blood, and...
We're still trying to find out where a lot of the drugs get into the state of Michigan.
And they fall asleep on I-94 out there by Fort Ewing. They cause accidents once a month at least.
Well, Michigan and Canada may be a war here within the next year, I will see. Well, we got 1 million deer hunters on opening day of deer season. I used to give that. If we're going to take them, we'll take them on deer season because we got 1 million troops in the woods that are loaded with at least 10 rounds. You know, we can march to Toronto in about 48 hours. We got enough command staff here that we could probably do it. Back on the DEQ, here was one that was really interesting with testimony. We had a joint Senate and House committee on the MUSPA fund, and that's the underground storage tank. The cleanup. Now I just had one done down from my house, about 4 houses down. This party store, I'm 49 years old. I can't remember it ever being open. But I can see a little cement thing where there was a gas tank, you know, a little pump at one time. And I asked everybody, can anybody remember this being open? And we actually had to go into some of the historical books to try to find a picture. But they just cleaned that up. Now that lot, if you sold it even on its best day, might give you about $2,000. On average, they charge about $400,000 to do a cleanup. Okay, so now I have a lot down. Now my property value should go right through the roof. My little 1,200 square foot house that I bought about 2 years ago for next to nothing, 3 years ago, it's gotta be worth about $500,000 now. Because they got $402,000 into that lot. But the neat thing about it is, now you could put something there, a shed, a garage. You know, you can't put a gas station there because of the economy. Another bait and tackle shop that'll go out of business, but we've had about 15 of them there since that place. But listening to the person who did the testimony of the underground storage tank group. Now, we had testimony over here from the gas station party store owners that were on one side, and we had the two people from the Musqueam Fund over on the other side. And the DEQ group gave their testimony first. And it sounded not convincing, but it was a good story. And then you talked to the group that was over here representing business in the state of Michigan. And one gentleman saying, you know what, I have over $1 million right now into a cleanup in one area. He said, I've been taken to court, I've been threatened, I have everything you could possibly, I've had people knocking on my door at all hours of the day from the DEQ. We're going to fine you, you better write a check, you better do this. Your attorneys, he said, between attorney fees and cleanup. And this guy does own a substantial amount of gas stations, but he started from nothing. And he started with one little station and built up this series of party stores and gas stations. And he says, they've got me on this one site. And he said, I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on an area about the size of this room. And he said, it's absolutely ridiculous. What are we going to do? You know, 7 to 8 cents on every gallon of gas you buy goes for the underground storage tank fund cleanup. 7 to 8 cents. $58 million a year goes into underground storage tank cleanup. I forgot what they said, how many we took off the list last year. Tom, do you remember, is there about 1,900? There was a ton. There's a ton on the list. Is it like 2,000 on the list? Or more? I mean, almost everybody's home's on the list, I think, is what they have right now. And I think they delisted about 4 last year. $58 million a year to dig these tanks up. And some of them, there's not even tanks left. There's residual BTEX, benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, xylene from gasoline. And look at what we put in. I mean, I can think of a lot better places to spend that money. And my question was to the DEQ side, okay, how many of those gas stations did you clean up that have municipal water and sewer? Because you're telling me you're afraid that they're going to contaminate the groundwater system. Well, listen, I've got a well right here, and I'm only 3 houses down from that gas station that you just spent a couple $100,000 cleaning up. And there's 300 of us that live here on M25 in this general area of homes and cottages that, what have we been living with that was so bad for the last 60 years since this thing's been open that you're going to spend that kind of money? You never get an answer. But $58 million a year, 78 cents a gallon, why are we doing that? That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. $400,000 to have a crew on an area, and I'm not kidding you, the size of the hole was about the size of this corner, and they spent 2 weeks on it. And there's guys in Tyvek and trucks and tanks and trucks and tanks continuously. I thought, how deep are they going? And I looked down, well, it's only down about 20 feet. What have they been doing here for 2 weeks? You know, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. There's a company out there that's taking the money from the state of Michigan, and you know what? And we let it happen. And they keep pulling the handle and laughing their silly butt off. And we allow that to happen. It's got to stop. Okay, well, there's the DEQ. All proposals for the state of Michigan committees and the department directors. The governor said, I want a proposal from all of the committees and the department directors by the 1st of May to have our budget completed by the 1st of June. So the new director, Dan Wyatt, who was the, I think, deputy director of ag prior, has got a really strong agricultural background, which is great for the farmers because it's really helped take some of that DEQ off their back. We have to have our proposals in by the 1st of May. My whole proposal on the veteran stuff all has to be in order. If I want it in the budget for this next year and the year after, we're doing a 2-year budget. So the same thing with, if I understand correctly, the same thing with the department directors. They will have their proposals in response to many of our complaints. And trust me, Dan Wyatt knows what our complaints are. You know, he's one of the guys that's not walking, he's not walking around Lansing with a smile on his face too often. He's got a lot of things to deal with. So he'll have that proposal on the 1st of May. But Well, not necessarily to close the department, but there's gonna be some things, we're gonna have to prioritize some of this stuff. You know, to spend $400,000 on cleanup, when every other state, when you compare it to other states in the United States, they're doing much bigger cleanups at a cost of about $150,000. Well, why are they doing it at $150,000 and we're doing it at $400,000? Michigan, yeah, that's exactly right. Every time we deal with something in the state of Michigan, you know what always comes up? Well, you're one of 2 states in the nation that do that. But it's everything that's wrong. You know, there's always 48 other states that get it in some area that we don't get it. And that's one of them right there. Somebody has a question? Yeah?
Okay, suppose we save us that 58 million or part of that each year. Are they gonna do what they normally do, or what we've seen forever? They're gonna take that tax money and use it someplace else? Or am I gonna get to save a few more cents on putting gas in my truck?
Well, you know, right after on May 2nd, I'll give you a call.
Okay.
To see what the proposal is. And not to say that everything will be answered on the 1st of May. You know, we're trying to break some of this down, the initial immediate things right now to stop the fire.
Historically, though, when
Oh,
you
yeah.
save tax money, it just winds up going someplace else. I don't get it back.
It funds a new program.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a new great idea that, oh man, if I could just get this to my area. Yeah.
I have a question, speaking of the state of Michigan, just renewed my auto insurance, and my insurance went down for my auto insurance company, but went up for the state of Michigan again.
Right.
It's huge.
All Nancy's.
What's going on?
I think, what does Michigan have, the fourth highest auto rates? Maybe we're number 1 now. We're number 1? We're number 1.
See, all the good
We're
things.
always and out of the 2 states, we're always number 1 or number 50. It's so easy to understand Michigan history. You know, any kid should be able to pass a test on Michigan. Because if you say we're number 1, number 50, or 1 of 2, you're going to get the answer right. But yeah, as far as the auto insurance, there's going to be some major reform, and I can't remember who the committee chair is, but they have been meeting several times a week and have in-committee work group meetings going on to address things going on with our insurance, which needs some major reform. Now I keep hearing, boy, the lobby groups for the insurance companies are really strong in the state of Michigan. So what? This person that comes walking in and they sit in our office and they say, I want to talk to your representative, here's my thoughts, and I say thank you very much, and we spend 15 minutes. Nobody's there strong-arming anybody to say this is how you have to vote. So, excuse me, so we can make some changes, but I really don't know on the insurance side what's going to happen right now, but there will be some reform. I think probably drastic